Welcome back for another video. In today's video I'll be running through my Gameweek 11 team selection. This is a rare follow-up video because after some consideration the bench boost chip has been activated. Changes have been made and I'll explain exactly why. We'll skip how Gameweek 10 went as that's in the video from early this week. I want to talk about why I'm experimenting with the bench boost in a single game week and what the pros and cons are to this decision. Let's start by talking about the most popular strategy, which is to bench boost in a double game week. Typically this is preceded by a wildcard the week before, and therefore you're as prepared as you can be for using the chip. This was my bench boost team in Gameweek 32 last season, which came after a Gameweek 31 wildcard. As you can see, I actually had quite a few single game week players who I wanted to keep for beyond the double game week. This isn't always the case, but it's a good example of how it can be unrealistic to expect to have a squad of 15 players playing twice. It's also entirely possible that a double game week player doesn't feature in both games, with the schedule being very condensed and it being late in the season. There's an argument to be made that wildcarding right before a double can cause overspending and overthinking your bench, which can leave you worse off longer term. You can't use two chips in 1 week, so you're forced to wildcard the week before. However, if your bench boost is already used, you have the advantage of being able to wildcard straight into a double game week, which gives you a 1 week advantage on everyone else. Let's say there is a double game week 35 this season. You'd save the wildcard because you want to bench boost it, but it's so late in the season you may miss loads of players you could have had in the run up. In a nutshell, the bench boost usage is just another optimization problem without a definitive answer. There's so much variance in FPL that if this is a success, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a better strategy, and vice versa. The data suggests that the threshold to aim for in a bench boost is 10 to 16 points, and I'll run through my Gameweek 11 team now, which can realistically achieve this, and 2 transfers have been made. Every season I remind myself always be open to new tactics. Last season I used a free hit in a double game week rather than a blank game week for the first time, and got 126 points when the average was 83. So I'm taking the opportunity to try something new again. Whatever happens, my hope for this channel is to educate and entertain, and that I can guarantee, whatever transpires. Hit subscribe and join me for whatever follows after this game week. On to the Gameweek 11 team selection and transfer plans. Ramsdale starts in goal off the back of a 10-pointer and has a good looking fixture against Watford in Gameweek 11. Arsenal are third on the clean sheet odds with a 43% chance of shutting the Hornets out. Since he came into the Arsenal starting 11, he's kept 4 clean sheets and 7, which can only be bettered by Chelsea's 5. Likewise, over that period, Arsenal's 4 goals conceded is the second best in the league after Chelsea. Trent starts for the fixture against West Ham, and he still tops a bunch of metrics among defenders, including chances created, corners, crosses and expected assists. In 8 appearances, he's hit double-digit points 3 times already. Despite a disappointing Game Week 10, there's always hope for a Trent haul, and he's an easy season keeper. Reece James is currently the best value player in the game, returning 9.8 points per million. He's also joint third for points per match and now has 4 goals and 2 assists. Tuchel benched him midweek in the Champions League, which is a promising sign and hopefully an indication of a rest before another start against Burnley. On the road, Burnley is second worst in the league after Norwich for expected goals conceded on 10.15 XGC. They haven't kept a single clean sheet on the road and have given up a big chance every 36 minutes. Not that James has shown he needs them with his XGO for performance in Gameweek 10. Cancelo completes a back 3 in defence for the fixture against Man United that looks very difficult to predict. Man United got a convincing win against Tottenham last week when they needed an immediate response and certainly won't want to slow down their momentum. Cancelo is second among defenders for expected goal involvement after Trent on 2.75 XGI and has taken 44 more touches in the final third than any other defender. Salah gets the armband for Gameweek 11. He's in phenomenal form this season and is hard to resist with the captaincy, despite some very reasonable alternative options in Gameweek 11. Salah is top for predicted points this game week and he faces a West Ham side who have been a mixed bag defensively, keeping 3 clean sheets in total, and have conceded twice 4 times. Foden played the full 90 in Gameweek 10 for the 4th consecutive game, and in those 4 it was the only game week he's not returned. However, Laporte's red card meant City were down to 10 men for half the game, which hindered his chances of a return. We've been very fortunate with Pep rotation thus far, and we'll hope that can continue with Foden and Cancelo this week. Foden scored midweek and came off in the 80th minute, so you'd imagine he gets the nod for the Manchester derby. Heung-min Son joins the team in place of Norman. He got a goal in the Europa Conference League, which was the first under Conte's new reign. He was lively as always and took up good positions in a 3-4-3 formation. He came off early after Emery got a red card. Tottenham have an outstanding run of games coming up, which are well worth picking up Son or Kane, or even both for. Conte historically has began his managerial stints at new clubs explosively with plenty of wins and clean sheets. Son could even be a captain for a game or two in that run, especially the Norwich fixture at home in Gameweek 15. Rafinha has done especially well considering the teammates he's been missing for a lot of this season, including Bamford, Ayling, Firpo and others. Despite that, he has 4 goals and faces Leicester, who have not been great defensively, conceding 17 goals, which is the 5th most of all teams. Leicester have given up 103 shots in the box, which is also the 2nd worst among all sides. That said, Rafinha is the type of player capable of producing in any week, and we'll hope for another return in Gameweek 11. Adam Armstrong gets the nod after a good performance last week. He created a big chance for Che Adams, which wasn't converted, but on another day he walks away with 2 assists. He himself had 1 big chance, 4 shots in the box, 8 touches in the penalty area, and he had the highest expected goal involvement among all forwards in Gameweek 10. With this in mind, it would be silly not to give him a second chance. Tony's another player we'll give another chance or two. His last goal came back in Gameweek 5, however he faces Norwich, who we've widely discussed as a team to target and leaking goals. Norwich are still 2nd worst after Newcastle for expected goals conceded on 18.6 xGC. He faces both Newcastle and Norwich in his next 2, so this is his last chance to get something, or he could make way soon. Antonio faces Liverpool in Gameweek 11, which could be a tough game. That said, Brighton showed us last week that they can concede even against lesser opponents. Antonio started midweek against Genk in the Europa League, however he was subbed off early in the 58th minute, most likely to save him for this weekend. Antonio is way out in front for expected goal involvement among all forwards on 7.45 xGI, second being Vardy on 4.87 xGI. The benches Foster, Livramento, Chilwell and Smith Rowe. There is a gamble that Foster loses his spot to Bachmann, as Watford still haven't kept a clean sheet this season, although they've both shared time between the sticks. Watford are 2nd bottom on the clean sheet odds, however Foster isn't the player we're looking to for hitting that 10 to 16 point threshold. Livramento has 6 returns in his last 7 games and faces an Aston Villa side at home, who are missing the likes of Ings, Douglas Luiz, Konsa and others. Chilwell joins the team for the Burnley game we've discussed. The Chelsea double-up looks viable and they're both incredibly high ceiling picks, which they've shown us this season. There is a risk of rotation with Chilwell, likewise with James, which is a gamble while using the bench boost. However, they both sat out the midweek Champions League game, which we'll hope is a promising sign. There will be inevitable rotation looking further afield, as Chelsea play 13 matches in 42 days, but we've got the strength from the bench if needed. Spurs were very unconvincing defensively and gave up a lot of chances in Conte's first game, which is why Chilwell makes the final team over Reguilon. Smith Rowe has hit double-digit points twice in the last 5 game weeks, which is all we need for the bench boost to be a success. Over that period, he's averaged 7.8 points per game. That concludes the Gameweek 11 team selection. Hit subscribe so you don't miss future content. I've got some exciting content planned for over the international break.